What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Power Rankings, guys. We are back here power ranking anything and everything Survivor Michigan. I'm Paul. As always, I'm here with Joe.
Hello, everybody.
And wow, what a whirlwind couple weeks it's been.
I know we had to take a week off. We were just so sad about the boot order. Now we're back, and yeah, it's been crazy. Two crazy episodes we've seen.
Two crazy episodes in a row. We are definitely devastated to lose Jack.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure.
It almost felt like a dream, and then it was like, oh wait, it actually happened.
And it was just like, it was extra brutal because he kind of felt it coming the whole time.
Yeah.
And it was just like a slow, painful death by 1,000 cuts for Jack. And there was just, nothing he could do. And then Dale finds the idol. So there's really nothing he can do. And we're just forced to kind of watch it happen.
Yeah, you said it exactly right. It was kind of like, he knew it was coming, and there wasn't much that he could do to get out of it. It was just kind of like, could he? And then it just didn't happen. So really unfortunate to lose Jack. We now have only one returnee left, which is just insane. I don't think anyone saw this coming, where
No.
3 would be gone by this point. So,
and then our last returner would be Matthew.
I know. And actually
arguably the biggest threat coming in.
Right. And I think this is just something I noticed in the opening sequence. Now they've been graying out the people that have been voted out, which I think has been really cool.
Yeah.
But if you notice in the clip where they're walking in, they actually walk in reverse boot order.
Really?
So
oh my god.
Matthew walks in first, then Jack is behind him, then Elise is behind him, and then Ben is behind her. And I just noticed that in the last episode. I was like, if that's not some sort of weird foreshadowing thing, I don't know what is.
That's so creepy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So it's like been in our face. Yeah, it's been in our face every episode. So
oh my gosh.
Very crazy. But hopefully we don't add any more gray to that clip for hopefully another few weeks. So
at least for a little while, yeah. This boot order has gotten brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Brutal. I remember watching Survivor All-Star, and like when it hits that point where I loved Kathy, I loved Lex, and they start to go home, and it just starts to be like, oh no. I'm like, okay, like I'm starting to get that feeling deep in my gut, but I'm thinking that there's going to be a better ending, a better couple endgame weeks than we got in All Stars here, because there still are a lot of really great players and a lot of players who I think want to make moves.
Mm-hmm.
So I am feeling cautiously optimistic about the next couple weeks of Survivor Michigan.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think, as we've been saying all season, the boot order has been tough, but there's so many good people.
Mm-hmm.
So, just kind of glancing at my list right now, there's still a lot of people to root for, and a lot of people who still have chances to make some big moves going into the, the final weeks of the game. So, the season is still delivering. We're still big fans. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of talk about where everyone's at. And we've officially merged our list since Matthew was the sole returnee left. So we kind of knew where he would stand outside of the list.
I'm sure he's listening to this and he's very mad that we're not ranking him separately as the number one returner.
Right.
He already knows he's the number one returner. We don't need to formalize it.
Exactly.
We've lumped him in with all the newbies, but he knows he's the number one.
Exactly. And what's nice too is we'll get to talk about everyone now, since we're down to 8. So I'm excited for that too. But poor Katie got the boot last week. What'd you think?
Yeah, it's another one where it just felt like I didn't know what she could do. There was a minute where I kind of thought that all the girls were going to get together and maybe kind of pull a coup. And maybe that's what they should have done, kind of the Survivor Marquesas thing of like all the people on the bottom get together, and they needed the coconut chop challenge this week.
Right.
That's what they really needed, was some form of superlatives or some form of coconut chop to help. But I think you also need I think there are certain players that are left in the game that are not keen on upsetting the status quo, really.
Mm-hmm.
At least at this point. And so I don't know that there was ever any kind of catalyst that was going to make that girls thing come together, even though it really probably would have been the best move for all those girls to do that.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all about timing in Survivor. So maybe our timing is based on good TV, but somebody's timing has got to be based on winning the game. So we'll see.
Right.
Alrighty, you want to start with number 8?
Yes, I have Kat.
As do I.
Okay, and I think this is the first time we'll be talking about her specifically.
Yes.
I'll start out by saying Kat has been a very interesting character this season. And I think she was kind of in that same spot as sort of like Mallory, like coming in, not knowing the game much, but as Mallory sort of adapted and grew to the game and kind of learned, how to play, and obviously she did really well. I think Kat has just been kind of like riding this, like, I'm just kind of here to do whatever. We're not really seeing her make any moves. She's sitting out of challenges. So she's just had a very interesting story arc. The biggest thing that I can remember from Kat is just always taking the immunity idol when they were back in tribes. Like, that was just always so funny once that started. But I don't know, just very interesting spot that she's in. I feel like we might see her kind of get pulled towards the end as like, hey, I don't think she's just not done enough to have a winning game at this point. I could even see her kind of like not even taking a final tribal seriously. And I think that'll really upset the people who like are there to like really play and like, really win, like Jack, him as a juror with Kat as an option. Like, I just don't think he would give it a second thought. So, unfortunately she's in the last spot, but I don't even think she would mind if she knew that.
No,
personally.
I'm sure she's probably not listening to this podcast. And I'm sure in real life, she's probably a lovely person. And I'm sure she has grown since her time on Survivor.
Yep.
But I think Kat is the one person left in the game who absolutely can't win. There's no circumstances. There's no version of a final whatever, 3-2, whatever, where she could possibly win.
Right.
And so I think you always, like, most seasons have that drawing dead person. Some seasons have a lot of people who we feel like are drawing dead. This one I don't think does, but we'll continue that conversation as we move up the list. But no, I don't think Kat can win. I think there's a lot of reasons for that. Frankly, I think we already saw people this week talking about like, oh, maybe we should get rid of Katie because people want to take her to the end. And so if people are already thinking that with Katie, I don't even know that Kat has a real chance to make it to the end, because I think if they're thinking that with somebody like Katie, then somebody like Kat has got to be like 10 times bigger on that kind of warning sign.
Right.
So, I don't think Kat can win. I don't even know if she can make it to the end. But, I hope her life is going well. And I hope that she is finding joy in the things that she chooses to invest herself in.
Yeah, and actually what's interesting is I don't know what her last name is, but there is a Kat in the production credits. So I was like, okay, maybe this sort of activates her love of Survivor, and then she helps out in future seasons. So I think that's really cool. So
that would be lovely.
I'm going to throw that out there too.
That would be a really, really happy ending to her arc, I think.
All right.
In number 7,
I have Ivy.
Oh, interesting. I have Nate.
Okay. I have Nate in the next spot.
Okay. I actually don't.
Oh, okay.
So let's talk about
Let's.
Nate for
Yes.
6.
Okay.
Nate is another one of these people that I think is getting close to being in kind of an unwinnable situation. The only reason that I don't think he is, that I don't think he's drawing dead, is there is something to Nate's game. Like, there is some kind of strategic acumen there. There is some kind of, like, he gets it on some level, but he just hates everyone else in this game, it seems like. And the only person he doesn't hate is Ivy, who for some reason doesn't want to work with him.
Right.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah. Yeah, you bring up a good point. I mean, Nate has gotten himself out of some really tricky situations. Some of was happening, which was back to that challenge that he won that was supposed to be thrown. So I kind of like that. And you bring up a good point about the Ivy thing. It's like, Ivy knew Ben and Nate coming into this. She was very willing to help facilitate getting Ben out. And then we see her making a Final Four that doesn't include Nate, who she knows.
And I mean, like, what? Like, what is she? What we'll save that.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm obviously with you on that.
And yeah, and I think Nate is one of those people. I think we've been saying it a lot, and he's kind of done this in some episodes, but we're always like interested to see what he does from here. Like interested to see what he does from here. So I'm still in that sort of line of thinking, is like, if he can survive another couple votes and like make some big moves towards the end, plus go to the end with the right either person or people, depending on if it's final 2 or final 3, like I think he does have a small chance, but I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely an uphill battle for him for sure.
Definitely. And I will say, he's been the challenge beast of the season so far. Like,
he's the puzzler.
Sorry, not sorry, Jackson. Like, Nate has been like ever since that slider puzzle thing. He wins immunity this week. So there is that side of it. It's just like, how does he get to the end? And even if he does, he would have to like Mike Holloway his way to the end, and then also like make some good strategic moves. Like, because I even think if he Mike Holloway's the way to the end, I don't even know that he wins unless he's there with Kat in a final 2 scenario.
Right.
So I think he would have. I think there's a lot of work ahead of him, but he's not drawing dead yet.
Totally agree.
So you have Ivy in 7. I have her in 5, actually.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I debated. She could have been in 6th for me. I was kind of torn between her and Nate there. I guess I'm just still a little confused about what Ivy's like true path to the end is, or like what she's trying to do. I mean, she, like I mentioned, she sort of made this Final Four with her. Was it her, Kat, Dale, and Jackson?
Something like that.
Or her. No, I think it was her, Kat. I don't know. And I was just like, okay. And then she's like leaving out Nate, telling him that he's going to be the 5th. Again, I don't know how much of that was just jokes or not, but
yeah.
I guess I'm more just like confused game and what she's doing and what, like, who she truly wants to go to the end with. Like, so that's kind of why I put her in, really just for that reason. Like, again, she's in that same boat of like, I want to see what she does, like, bring on like a power move, bring on a huge blind side, like, orchestrated by her. Like, I guess I'm just sort of waiting to see what her true, plan and path is.
I totally agree with that. I always feel like I have an analogy to another Survivor player for like every player and their position, and I have nothing for Ivy because I don't. What is she doing on one hand? Like, what is she like? There's a case that she could be at the bottom with Kat, because like, what are you doing? But the flip side of that conversation is she's in a fantastic spot. Like, I don't think anybody is coming for her. Like, I think she has pseudo relationships with just about everybody. If they're going for big threats, she's not the biggest threats. If they're going for like goats. She's not the biggest goat. She's clearly bright. She's got thoughts, like Survivor thoughts are going on in her head. I don't know that any of them are really good or are what she should be thinking, but there's stuff happening. So like on that hand, if we were just ranking, like if this was the kind of power rankings where it was like who's getting voted out next week, you could put Ivy at number 1. Like she's definitely not going anywhere.
Right.
And so like that's what's so confusing to me about her position right now is like if she could somehow pull together a final 3 with Nate and Kat, she could win 9-0 or whatever the jury makeup is. Like she could win going away. But why is she telling Nate he's in 5th? Is she joking? Is she not joking? Does Nate know whether she's joking or not? I don't know. What is she doing?
Yeah. No,
Why
you
does she want to go to the Final Four with Dale and Jack? Why does she want to go to the Final Four with anybody except for Nate and Kat?
Right.
Who she should be trying to go to the finals with.
Right.
I don't. It's mind-boggling. And yet, on the other hand, maybe it'll work out. Who knows?
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm actually very excited to see from Ivy's point of view in this next episode. Just to see what she's thinking and what she does. So anyhow. All right. So she was my 5. Nate was your 6 and Ivy was your 7, correct?
Yes.
So my 6 is Megan.
What? Wow. Okay.
I'm guessing she is higher on your list.
A
based
little
on
bit.
Your reaction.
Yeah. I think I have a reasoning for why I put her a lot higher too.
Okay.
Just for personal reasons.
Okay. Well, good.
So wait, what do we do? Do I have to say where I put her?
Yes, because we'll talk about Megan now. Where did you put her?
I put her as number 1.
Oh my God, how? Oh my gosh, this is incredible. This is not the first time we've had a Megan discrepancy on our list.
No, but this is a pretty big one. I don't know. I guess I'm just like so rooting for her.
Yes.
And I really think Megan's impact on this season has been like insurmountable. And I feel like she really did a good job this week recovering from what happened. Like we saw such a switch in her. Like she was seeing Megan cry over Jack going was like horrifying to watch. And then, you're kind of like
smile crying.
Yeah,
smiling
exactly.
The whole time she was crying. Unbelievable.
Right. And I loved like she was giving Dale like the death stare as he was like trying to floss, which was very entertaining. I just feel like I think I'm just like really rooting for Megan. And but again, I feel like she really recovered well. I mean, they kind of split the votes last week between her and Jack. And then she kind of has this moment of like, I literally have no one. And then it's like, she sleeps on it. She wakes up the next day and she's like, you know what? I'm not giving up. I'm not going out without a fight. I have to avenge all my allies that I've lost. And, she reconnects with Jackson. She kind of honestly helps push this whole Katie narrative with her wanting to start the All Girls Alliance. And that gets the focus kind of back on her. On Katie. So I feel like she really did a great job of recovering. Now, does this mean she can make it all the way to the end and win at this point? Maybe not. Maybe. I don't know. But I don't know. I just refuse to move her out of the number 1 spot. So maybe selfishly I put her there as well.
That is valid. And everything you're saying is true. Like I am impressed with Megan. I didn't know how her reaction was going to be to Jack going home. And the fact that she's really is able to bounce out of that and not be the next boot and really play her way back into the game is impressive. But there is no way these people are letting Megan get to the end, even close.
Yeah.
In a different season with different players and different people. But the problem is the top half of my list, I think, is too good of players to let it happen. And the bottom half of my list just doesn't want to play with her. And so I don't think that there is any kind of path, any reasonable path, because it would be different if like Ivy and Kat and Shannon were saying like, yeah, let's pick up Megan and go forward. Like maybe she'd be at the top of my list too. But I just don't see that happening at all. Like I don't I think every week she's able to survive from here on out is a huge accomplishment and should be met with incredible adulation, great rounds. Love Megan. Would love to see her play again when this inevitably ends for her. But I just cannot fathom a way where Megan makes it. I mean, even to if Megan makes it to the final episode, I'll be thrilled because I don't even see her making it through these next couple weeks. That having been said, love Megan, love her to death, still love her, love watching her play Survivor, love watching her smile through this. She's tougher than she looks. She's tougher than these people are giving her credit for. She's been one of the top tier players this season. So I definitely want to give her flowers for that, but I just cannot possibly see a road forward for her.
Yeah.
So now I'm interested. So who is in your number 5 spot?
I had Matthew.
Okay, he's in my number 4 spot. So we're returning to some kind of normalcy here.
Yeah. I don't know what he has. I don't know what he has to do going forward. And I think with, he got past this vote, with Jack going out and, losing like Elise and Ben shortly before that. So I think what's going to hurt him, though, is this like split vote plan where he switched it to Katie. Even those scenes for the next episode, people are like, okay, it was clearly him. I think Shannon was kind of had some confessionals about not wanting to work with him. I don't remember what Dale and Jackson's like thoughts are with Matthew at this point, but I think he just he's maybe in an okay spot. I think if he can recover from, going rogue with that split vote plan, that'll maybe get him through another round or two, but I don't know. He has a really, really big uphill battle. And what was the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, I don't know. Like, I want him to do well, but I think everyone's gotten a taste of like getting out returners. So I think it's just kind of like, I don't know how much longer he can go, unfortunately.
I unfortunately agree. But I actually kind of like the flip to keep to get out Katie. Because I think now he has definitely leverage with Megan. And I also think like there were other people who were talking about like, oh, I wish it was Katie this week. Like I want it to be Katie this week. And so I'm thinking this gives Matthew a talking point with those people. Like he can say like, hey, like Katie was the best thing for us. Like we don't want to always do what's best for Dale. Because I think he's got to pull the trigger on Dale and Jackson here.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think this blow up has to happen now, basically. And so I think that this gives him a little bit better, like, talking points with people should this be a big battle week to say, like, hey, I'm on your side. Like, we're thinking the same thing. We're kind of doing the same thing here together, like, so on and so forth. So that's why I put him in the top 4 above the Ivy, Nate, and Kat group. Just because I think he might be able to do something like this. Maybe. But I'm still leery about it. And I still think we have a definitive top group that I don't think Matthew's in.
Right.
Yet.
Right. And yeah, you bring up a good point. I think that's what I was trying to think about was like getting rid of Katie sort of weakens Dale and Jackson since those three, work together so closely before the merge. So it's really just like, kind of like you said, like it opens up doors for Matthew to talk to some other people. And, are we going to see, a group of people come together and kind of take a shot at Dale or Jackson? I feel like it would probably be Jackson before Dale, if they go for that. So, and he can definitely, like, the line was drawn in the sand, the Eliza vote. So it's like, it's not like Matthew has to, he can play his own game now apart from them and do what he needs to do, which is what he just did in switching his vote to Katie. So, yeah, I think the next vote or the next two votes are really going to be telling on, what happens between, Dale, Jackson, and Matthew, specifically with how close they were at the start.
Yeah, I agree. Alrighty, so that was your number 5, my number 4. So who was your number 4?
My number 4 was Jackson.
Okay. Interesting. I actually had Jackson up in the number 2 spot.
Okay, I kind of thought you might say that. I feel like we're always opposite on Jackson too, which is kind of
funny.
We
are, yeah.
But at least he's only 2 away.
It's the blue eyes thing. I'm not. It's my bad. It's my personal bias.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think Jackson is just so Teflon in a way a lot of Survivor winners seem to be. Like, he is just, nothing seems to come back on him. And so far through this game, he's been pretty much impossible to even kind of target. And so I put him in 2 because I don't think he's in the best position in the game. But I do think, like, man, if they haven't gotten him so far, at some point you're going to miss your shot.
Right.
And I do think I think Jackson beats anybody in Vital Tribal Council, and I include both Matthew and Megan in that. I think if Jackson gets there, he wins. Now, there's a lot of game left to play. That's not set in stone. But I think at the point we're at, if he gets there, he wins.
Yeah.
So I plugged him into 2, but I can definitely be convinced to put him lower because I'm not thrilled with the 2 guys I had to put in my top 2 this week. So talk me out of it. Number 4, Jackson. Talk me out of it.
Well, I think me into putting him higher. So
no, that wasn't what we were supposed to do.
But I don't. Yeah, I think I feel like I do this every. But anyway, I think he's in an okay. It was also interesting, like, him talking about the like potential of taking out Dale at some point. So it's like he is willing to take out allies. He is willing to take out people who, will give him a run for his money in the final. So I like that aspect of it. He has the steal vote, which is interesting, which he can, I think, only use in the next 2 tribal councils, because I think it was till final 6. So I'm going to be very interested to see what he did with that. He got pooped on by a bird, which I'm pretty sure Tony was pooped on during Winners at War, and we know what happened there.
Yes.
So maybe you should have bumped him up just for that reason.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, he's definitely been one of the most entertaining people of the season. So yeah, I probably could have easily put him at number 3 or even number 2. So my argument for you to lower him on your list is not happening at all. But I feel like, I don't know. I still feel like between him and Dale, he potentially could be targeted first. And I think I had to put Dale above him because Dale has 2 idols.
I did too.
And I don't see Dale going home 2 in his pocket. So it's kind of like, I think that's why I put Jackson a little bit lower. Like I'm basically saying Dale is guaranteed at least final 6, if not further, if he escapes 1 vote and then plays his idol at 6. And I don't know if he can play it at 5. Anyway, but I guess he has the potential of definitely being final 6, but he also has the potential of definitely final 5, saving his idol 1 more tribal and then playing it at the next 2. So that's why I had Jackson lower than Dale.
Yeah, absolutely valid. So now we're on both of our number 3 spot. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you have?
Shannon.
Me too.
Okay. So why Shannon at 3?
I like Shannon.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Shannon more every week. I don't even know that I mean as a player. I just like Shannon. I like her in Confessional. I like what she's doing. She's like almost to the like Sheehan stupid players thing, but she's not quite there. And she's like emotional and like teary, and I just like that. She's entertaining. She's fun to watch on television. And so and plus I think she's in a great spot. I think she beats all of the Ivy, Nate, and Kat conglomerate.
Yep.
And I think that's the direction she needs to go. And I think she knows that's the direction she needs to go. It's just, can she make it happen? Like, is she going to be able to get all these people on the same page and do what she knows she needs to do? And that's the real question.
Yeah.
But I like her. I think she's thinking I think, contrary to Ivy, I think she's thinking the right thoughts. Like, I think she is there. It's just a matter of whether she has the social capital and the political chops to pull it off. But I like Shannon. I like where Shannon's at. I think people want to play with Shannon. I don't think they see Shannon as threatening as she probably is, or they should be. I think she's a blind spot for a lot of these the alpha dudes of the game, and I think that's only benefits her. So I like Shannon.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think she's been such another interesting like character on the show. Her confessionals have been great. She was crying over having to lie to Jack, which I thought was very interesting. Just like the range of emotion we've gotten from her this season has been really fun to watch. And she's playing the game with a lot of people that she doesn't like. Yeah, but she's still doing a good job at it. And I think I give her a lot of credit for that. Like, she's, you go into these games, you have no idea who's going to be there. There's going to be personalities that you might clash with. And I feel like she's able to navigate that pretty well and, use your confessionals to say what you need to say. But I feel like she's able to separate that and then really play the game with, the cards that she was dealt. So I definitely agree that she's in a good spot. She's working with Kat.
Yeah.
Did we see that coming from that episode or the first 2 episodes? Like,
what a great story arc.
Right. So I think it's just, and then she has that connection with Dale still. I think Dale was the one she was saying, like, I don't know, I guess they were talking and he was kind of like, what's the word? Like, I don't know, basically like saying what like the boot order was going to be. And she's kind of like, I'm not going to listen to you. Like, I'm going to do my own thing or whatever. So I think, I think she's in a great spot, like you said. And I think she's definitely got a lot of people that she can work with. And also, like you said, I think, I don't think people are necessarily seeing her as a big threat right now. And I think for her, it might be one of those situations where it might be like too little, too late, where, she has enough people surrounding her and she gets enough people out that would try to take her out. And then it's like, well, now I'm in the finals. And I think if she can explain her game really well, at the end, she has a really good chance at winning. So,
yeah. And I think she has no interest in being in the finals with Dale Jackson or Matthew.
No.
Like, at all.
No. Right.
So, yeah, absolutely. All right. So that leads me to your number 2, my number 1, and that is Dale.
That is Dale.
If I had told you before the season that one of these contestants would have a large collection of wigs that we would end up seeing, would you have guessed that person would be Dale?
No, not at all.
Me either. And yet, here we are. Dale is a weirdo. I think I think you look at him and you want to lump him in with these like alpha dude bros like Mike from Pike and Brady, but older, like these dudes. No, Dale is a weirdo. And I appreciate that. Like, I want to honor the fact that Dale is a weird person while we're here on the podcast. Thank you, Dale, for being strange and not being just kind of this vanilla alpha Colby Donaldson guy. Like, thank you for being a little bit strange. I still want to do a postseason recap with Mrs. Dale because I have more questions as the weeks go on. Does Mrs. Dale love White Castle? Does Mrs. Dale, like, is she pro the wigs, or is that like the thing, like, you know, when you're with somebody and they have that like one thing that you just have to tolerate? Is the wigs like, when did she meet Marty Gras Dale? I have so many questions. It's gonna be like a 5-hour Rob Has a Podcast deep dive with Mrs. Dale when this is all over. But back to the game. You know, I don't even really have anything fancy to say. Dale's got 2 idols.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna play his idols.
Yeah.
And so he's gonna be in the final 5, I think.
Right.
Barring any kind of crazy James Clement nonsense, he's gonna be in the final 5. And then why not Dale? Dale could easily play his way to the end. He could easily take a ton of jury votes if he gets there. He's likable. He's not as smarmy or schemy as Jackson. He doesn't come across that way. Sometimes he comes across a little bit too aggressive and like a little bit Terry Dietz, I think. But like that aside, Terry Dietz would have won in Panama if he'd have made it there. And I think that's the same thing we're seeing with Dale. I think if Dale gets there, he's got a really good shot to win the game. And what's not to like? Maybe he'll wear another wig to Final Tribal and we'll get to see that.
That'd be great. Yeah, I agree with all that. I think it's still so interesting, like seeing someone who's a little bit old. The game, you know, played the College Survivor game, and as we said, we've kind of related to that. And you know, we like seeing that. You know, it's just something different. But yeah, I think he's in a pretty good spot. I think the 2 idols thing, it's just kind of like, I hope he's not the player to either misplay them or get cocky where he doesn't think he has to. Now, playing 2 idols back to back is going to, you know, the target that he has on him, it'll definitely increase that. Especially because no one knows about either of them, correct? So that's always interesting to navigate. But I think if he's in the final 5 with at least 1, if not 2, like strong allies or, you know, people that are willing to go to the end with him, which I don't know who that would necessarily be, because Jackson's already eyeing him up as a threat. I don't know if Shannon would want to go to final 3 with him. But so if he insulates himself well enough, is able to play the idols correctly, and not make the allies that he has at final 5 upset about hiding those, I think he's in a great spot. So yeah, I think, again, I have him up that high because of the idols, and it's like he's guaranteed final 5 most likely. You know, he could pull out an immunity win here or there too. So I think with all of that, yeah,
I think he's in the anti-Shannon spot. I think Dale has to go to the final 5 with at least Jackson and Matthew, if not Jackson, Matthew, and Megan. I think he's got to have all those people in at the final 5. Otherwise, he's got to Mike Holloway his way to the end.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that we have 2 players in the game that have diametrically opposed win conditions, which is Shannon has to get out Dale, Jackson, Matthew, and Megan like as soon as possible, and Dale has to protect all of those people as long as he can.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be an interesting end game. I'm excited to see who wins in this tug of war for power, and I think that, you know, I love being in a game at the final 8 where there's a lot of different outcomes we could be looking at.
Right. I agree. I'll be interested to see what our lists look like next week, because I feel like it could be completely shuffled around. And I feel like that's how the season's been. As we keep saying every week, like, it's just, you never know. And it may be looking like it's going to be one person, and it's not. And again, even with how many people we've lost, there's still so many people left that have a great chance of winning and that we would like to see win. So again, just a testament to how great the season's been.
Absolutely. Yeah. Of our 3 seasons doing these power rankings, this has been the hardest by a country mile, 100%. By far. So it just makes for a fun end game and makes for fun viewing. That's what we're all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Power Rankings, guys. We are happy to still be here, and we are happy to be Power Rankings still. We never plug our socials. Do you want to plug your social?
Oh, man. Sure. My Twitter, I think, is at Joseph_J_S. I believe, which is so bad that I don't know that. But yeah, we'll go with that. Or just go to Paul's and try to find me through there.
It's true. I'm Paul Says Thought on Twitter, and you can find Joe and I tweeting at each other about, well, this and then all sorts of other nonsense. So with that having been gotten out of the way, I'm Paul. For Joe and myself, thank you for joining us. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.